Part 2 of descriptions?
Directions.
I'm sorry, directions.
You want to start?
And we're going to try and keep it at what it's marked at? Okay. Try.
We should do a 190.
Well, when they play it 20 times, then it'll get easier.
All right, begins with defense, doing directions. Exit the 405 freeway at Warner and go west. We are on the right between Golden West and Edwards.
Exit 405 freeway at Brookhurst going north. Turn left on Slater and right on Dixie to Portobello.
Exit the 405 freeway at Harbor and go south. Turn left on Adams and right on Peterson.
Exit 405 at Harbor Boulevard and go south. We are on the corner of Harbor and Merrimack.
Exit 405 freeway at Beach going south. Turn left on Stark, left on Malagna, and right on San Angelo to Huntington Creek.
Exit 405 freeway at Bristol south. Turn left on Palorino. We're on your right. Or exit 55 freeway at Baker. Go to Palorino and head west. We're on your left.
Exit 405 freeway at Jamboree. Go south to San Joaquin Hills Road. Turn right. We are about 1 mile inland from PCH.
Exit 405 freeway at Harbor and go south. Turn right on Adams, left on Mesa Verde.
Exit 405 or 22 freeway at Beach Boulevard and head south. Make a right on Warner.
Take 55 freeway and turn right on PCH. Turn right on Superior, left at Placentia.
Exit 55 freeway at McFadden, go west. Turn right on Williams.
Exit the 22 freeway at Magnolia and head north. Turn left on Ball and we're just ahead on your left. Or exit the 91 freeway at Magnolia and head south. Turn right on Ball and we're on your left.
Exit 91 freeway at Orange Thorpe and go west. We are on your left right after Valley View Street.
5 freeway south to Newport Avenue, exit south. Turn left on Walnut. We're on your right between Newport and Red Hill.
Exit the 55 freeway at MacArthur and go west. Turn right at Main Street and we are on the left. Or exit the 405 freeway at Bristol and go north. Turn right at MacArthur, left at Main.
Exit the 5 freeway at Newport Avenue, go south. Castilian is on your left. Or exit 55 freeway at MacArthur, go east. Castilian is at the intersection of McFadden and Newport Avenue.
Exit the 5 freeway at Harbor Boulevard. Go west on Ball Road to Euclid and turn left, immediate first, to Palm Lane.
Exit 22 freeway at the City Drive going south. Turn left on Memory Lane, left on Bristol.
Exit the 5 freeway at Newport Avenue, go south. Cordova is on your left. Or exit the 55 freeway at McFadden, go east. Cordova is at the intersection of McFadden and Newport Avenue.
Exit 22 freeway at Beach Boulevard North. Fair Crest is 2.7 miles on your right. Or exit 91 or 5 freeway at Beach Boulevard South. Fair Crest is 3 to 5 miles on your left.
Exit the 91 freeway at Beach Boulevard South. Turn right on Lincoln. Go approximately 1 mile. Turn left on Westchester, 1st Street past Western Avenue.
Exit 22 freeway at Harbor, go north. We're on the right about 2 miles between Wilkins Street and Orangewood Avenue.
Exit the 22 freeway at Euclid, go north to Lamson, make a right on Lamson. We are located at the next stop sign on the corner of Lamson and 9th Street.
Exit 91 freeway at Carmenita and head south 2.2 miles. We are on your left, 1 block past Lincoln.
Exit 55 freeway at Edinger and head east to Red Hill. Left on Red Hill to Sycamore, turn left. Left on Newport and New Point is on the right.
Exit the 91 freeway at Glassell, head south to Lincoln and turn right. Go to Rio Vista and turn right. From the 57 freeway, exit Lincoln and head east. Make your first left at Rio Vista and we're on your left.
This is on descriptions.
Begins with me. Just a minute. Motion to strike the answer as calling for a conclusion of the witness.
All right, I am going to strike that answer. It is stricken.
What type of tires were on the red car in 1971?
Tires, recaps.
Do you know the brand name?
No, I do not.
The red car in 1971, what size rims did it have on the front?
13 inch.
Now, the blue car that you have now, what size does it have on the front?
13-inch,
What size rims were on the car when you purchased it?
13-inch.
Are there any other similarities between these two cars?
The front windshield has a scratch on it from the windshield blade, the wiper, and the scratch is still there, same as it was then.
The blue car that you recovered from Detective Bascow, it has a scratch in the windshield.
Yes, on the right side.
Does the scratch appear to be on the same length as the scratch that was in the red Ford Ranchero?
Yes,
Does it appear to be the same width?
yes,
And does it appear to be in the same place?
yes.
Now the blue car that you have now, does it have any indication of having a paint color different than the blue color? Can you understand that question?
No,
Are there any portions of the blue car that you now possess that are not painted blue, but are painted another color?
it's all blue.
It is blue on the inside of the door jambs.
No, it's red.
Where is it red on the inside of the door jambs?
Well, I'm not sure. I can't say for sure.
But you do recall seeing some red paint or red color?
There is red in there, yes.
The red Ford Ranchero that you had in 1971, was it a particular color of red like we have in the flag, or was it an orange red or crimson red or a blood red?
Red, like in the flag red.
Now, is that in any way, how does that compare with the red that you observed on the blue Falcon, which you now possess?
Well, the blue Falcon is chipped, the paint on it. The blue paint is chipped and the red is coming through. You can see that it was once red.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not the color of red on the Falcon that you now possess is the same as the color of red that was on the Falcon you owned in 1971?
Yes, it's the same.
Did you bring the pink slip with you to the car that you owned in 1971 to court today?
Yes,
Do you have that with you?
yes.
May I see it, please? May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
I would request this be marked as People's Number 1 for identification.
All right.
Now, there is another document, Your Honor, I would request be marked as People's Number 2 for identification,
All right.
and another document marked as People's Number 3 for identification. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Mrs. Scribner, I show you now what has been marked as People's Number 1 for identification. Is that your copy of the pink slip you handed to me a moment ago? Okay, this is names and addresses. And, do we want to identify ourselves? Let's see if I can talk. Identify ourselves, or you want to?
Yeah, we're out here.
Okay. All right, so starts with the witness. Okay.
Ready? Ms. Margaret Alderman, Alderman, Hillsville Intermediate School, 1036 North Main Street, Hillsville, Virginia, 24343.
Ms. Rebecca Couples, CU, double PLES, Lindbergh Road, Hopewell, New Jersey, 08525.
Mrs. Robert Martin, Martin, in care of Greenwood, 725 Jakin Way, Pacific Palisades, California, 90272.
Mr. John Makuski, Macuguski, 22130 Avon Drive, Oak Park, Michigan, 48837.
Ms. Marcella Spade, Marcella is spelled MARCELLA, Spade, SPADE, 785 River Avenue, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908.
Mr. DeAndre Lewis, D''ANDRE is the spelling of DeAndre, 555 Taman Avenue, Somerset, Pennsylvania, 15501.
Ms. Margaret Van Meter, capital BAN, capital METER, Frederick Community College, 7932 Opossum Town Park, Frederick, Maryland, 21701.
Mr. Murray, MURRAY, Schneider, 2925 West 5th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11224.
Ms. Driston Smith, SMIDT, 918 William Avenue, North Platte, Nebraska, 69101.
Dr. Stephen D. Toss, that's Stephen with a PH, Toss, TAUS, 456 Davis Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310.
Ms. Carol, that's Carol with an E, Pulliam, Capistrano Valley High School, 26301 Via Escolar, Mission Viejo, California, 92692.
Mr. Ilmars Strauss, Strauss, Edmonton Public Library, 7 Sir Winston Churchill Square, Edmonton, Alberta, T5J2V4.
Ms. Miley Hartline, 610 Crestview Drive, North Manchester, Indiana, 46962.
Okay?
All right, so this is past CSR from March 2006. I'll be defense Ms. Cook.
I am the court.
I am the witness.
I am plaintiff's attorney, Ms. Martin.
All right, begins with defense. Ready? When you announced yourself as a bail agent, did you make eye contact with my client?
Not eye contact, but he heard me.
How do you know he heard you?
I announced myself loudly and clearly.
But there was no eye contact?
No.
Let's talk about the second 911 call. That was placed that afternoon.
All right.
Do you carry a telephone?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Certainly.
Is it correct that you testified Mr. Kelly made the call while you guys were on top of my client?
Yes.
You also testified you are the one who spoke to Newport Beach Police, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever instruct my client to stop moving?
I don't remember.
Okay, but you were cursing at my client that day, is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Now, we heard some swearing on the 911 call, but you don't believe that was you?
That was Mr. Kelly.
Okay, you were asked if the defendant had a weapon by the 911 operator. Did someone respond that he did not? Do you think that was your partner?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know whether that was your partner?
That was not Kelly.
Could you tell us who else was on their cell phones in this area?
Well, some hotel people showed up. Whether or not they were talking on their phones, I don't know.
Was this when the female was still there?
I don't remember.
When you made the call, do you recollect any hotel employees in the area?
I don't particularly recall any employees being present.
You don't know whether someone was present or not other than you, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Burns, correct?
That's fair.
Could I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, do you need a recess at this time?
No, thank you. I was just retrieving some notes, Your Honor.
Let's proceed.
Did you punch my client in the face, or did Mr. Kelly punch Mr. Burns in the face?
It wasn't me.
Very well, so if you are testifying it wasn't you, who was it?
I assume Mr. Kelly.
Did you observe Mr. Kelly hit him in the face?
Correct.
Do you know whether my client was struck in the eye?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled. You may answer.
I imagine somewhere in that area.
Do you recall if he punched him in the left eye?
I don't remember if it was right or left.
I am going to show you a picture marked as Defense Exhibit A. Who is that picture of?
That's Mr. Burns.
You testified you struck him in the kidney area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Would this be a fair representation of the area of his body where you repeatedly beat Mr. Burns?
That's correct.
Did you kick him at all?
I need him.
You didn't kick him, but you need him.
With my knee, yes.
How many times did you do that?
Probably a lot.
More than 10?
No, not that many.
You also testified you were repeatedly punching him too.
Absolutely.
How many times did you punch him?
Until I was so tired I couldn't do it anymore.
Were you sweating immediately afterwards?
I was completely exhausted. I could hardly move.
Now, you said that Mr. Kelly was the person hitting him in the face. Is that correct?
Yes.
You couldn't accurately testify whether Mr. Kelly struck him in the right or left eye. Is that
I
correct?
couldn't.
When you got cut, was there any blood on the floor or on the carpet?
Not that I noticed.
But you claim you were bleeding from your injuries?
You could see a little bit of blood, but it wasn't dripping or anything like that.
All right. Did any blood get on your clothes?
Maybe a couple places on my jeans. That's what I remember.
Did you report to the police officer about that?
No, I didn't even notice until I arrived home.
In looking at this photograph, can you explain why it appears there's a gap where you said you got cut?
I am going to object. The photograph speaks for itself.
Overruled. You may answer.
There does appear to be a little gap there.
You said Mr. Burns sliced you with the knife, is that correct?
Definitely.
You believe he cut you twice in the exact same spot?
Maybe, I believe it is possible.
If I could have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes,
Now, you were involved in a similar incident on January 27, 2005, somewhere in Riverside, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Isn't it true that on that date, you walked up to a store and were looking for a person wanted by the court system?
We were looking for a fugitive, yes.
And when you walked up to the store, you came into contact with a Mr. John Fox, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Who did you initially come in contact with?
I didn't come in contact with anyone. I never even got out of the automobile.
Who was the person outside of the car?
Kelly was outside the car.
Mr. Fox wasn't a suspect, is that correct?
No, he wasn't.
Did you see Mr. Kelly strike Mr. Fox?
Objection, vague.
overruled. You may answer.
Hit him? No.
Did you see Mr. Fox fall down?
I saw my partner lift him up and throw him to the ground.
Did you see Mr. Kelly throw the phone Mr. Fox had in his hand?
Yeah,
Did you see him then display a firearm?
absolutely not.
Did you hear Mr. Kelly threaten to run Mr. Fox over?
That never happened.
Did you hear Mr. Kelly tell Mr. Fox, "I will shoot you if you come close to me again"?
I never heard that.
Isn't it true that your partner did not identify himself at that time as a bail enforcement agent?
Objection, vague.
That's not true.
Overruled.
That's not true.
How far were you away from your partner?
15 or 20 feet.
And this happened almost 2 years ago, is that correct?
Yes.
You have a distinct memory of that, is that correct?
I definitely do.
You are inside the vehicle the whole time, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Your windows were completely up, is that correct?
No.
The windows were down?
Yes, windows were down.
And you never exited out of the vehicle at any point in time, is that correct?
Objection, misstates his testimony.
I will withdraw it.
It does misstate the testimony. Ask your next question.
Did you get out of the car at any point in time?
After he already had him on the ground,
This was not the person you were looking for, correct?
it was not.
And you handcuffed him
I
anyway?
did not.
Your partner handcuffed him.
Yes, he did.
Were you later arrested for that incident? Is that correct?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Now, when you were checking on the warrant in this case, were you ever made aware that my client had just missed a court date?
Objection, vague.
Sustained.
Did you know that you were looking for a person who was wanted by the court system simply for missing a court date?
Yes.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Thank you. Now, you spoke to the police officer at the hotel after this event occurred. You said that was Officer Moss, who you spoke to in the lobby, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how long would you say your conversation lasted with that officer?
It was short.
Would you say that you provided more details to Officer Moss on that date, or have you explained more details here today in court?
More details here today in court.
Now, were you interviewed separately from your partner?
Yes.
How long would you say that your interview with Officer Moss lasted?
Just a few minutes.
Okay, and you had a chance prior to coming to court to review Mr. Kelly's statement, is that correct?
I briefly looked it over yesterday.
When you looked over that statement he had provided to the police, were there details you recall that were not in the statement?
Yeah, there were things that aren't in there.
From the testimony we heard, you recall when the defendant turned around, he had the weapon in his hand, correct?
Yes.
At no time did you ever observe him remove it out of anywhere?
Correct.
When you clearly announced you were bail agents, what kind of voice or tone of voice did you use?
Loud and deep, like I meant business.
With some authority in your tone?
Absolutely.
Louder than I am talking to you now?
Yes.
You indicated that the defendant had a female with him, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall the female strike them? Did you ever tell the officer that she saw Mr. Burns cut you or something to that effect?
I don't remember.
Okay. You might have said that?
I might have.
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
Last answer is stricken. The jury is admonished not to consider it. Next question, please.
Do you recall making any statement at all that the female was aware of your being cut?
No, I don't recall.
Do you recall ordering Mr. Burns to put his hands behind his back when you were trying to handcuff him?
I don't recall that either.
Could you have said that?
Yes.
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
Stricken.
Now, you said you don't recall saying you were going to break the defendant's wrist. Could you have said that?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know if that was said, anything about breaking the defendant's wrist?
Objection vague as to time.
Sustained.
Looking at these photographs the defense attorney showed you, do you know when these were taken?
No, I do not.
Okay, the recording that was played for you, well, let me back up. At some point during trying to detain the defendant, you indicated a second emergency call was made to 911.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I believe you stated that it was Mr. Kelly who made that call, or was it you?
Kelly made the call and was unable to talk with the dispatcher, so I told him to hold the phone up. When he did, I told them what was going on because we were both...
Objection.
It is non-responsive at this point. Next question.
Let me interrupt you. When the emergency call was made to 911, it was Kelly who had the telephone, correct?
He dialed the numbers, yes.
You are still fighting with the defendant.
We were both still fighting. It was during the fight.
Did you recognize your voice on the tape we heard?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
And do you recognize your own voice on that recording?
I do not.
Counsel asked you about this incident with a Mr. Fox. Do you recall that?
I do.
You went out on that incident in your capacity as a bounty hunter looking for a wanted person.
Yes.
And was the person there?
No, he wasn't.
Do you recall Mr. Fox not being happy that you were at that store?
Yes.
What was his demeanor when you tried to deal with him and trying to look for this suspect?
Objection relevance.
Overruled. You may answer.
He attacked my partner.
He was not happy about your being there, right?
That's true.
Okay, and that incident has nothing to do with our trial here today, right?
That's true.
Okay, and you were never convicted of any charges in that matter, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have nothing further.
Counsel, how long on recross?
Less than 1 minute.
All right, proceed.
Regarding your alleged injury, you refused treatment that night, correct?
Yes, I did.
Did you see your own doctor at any time?
No.
You don't recall seeing a suitcase in my client's left hand?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained. It is beyond the scope.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Okay, talk, go ahead.
All right, this is common questions. It's a drill where all 4 of us will read.
Anybody have a microphone?
I do.
Okay, what are you on?
A.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
All right.
State your name for the record.
Please state your name for the record.
State your full name and spell it for the record.
Will you state and spell your full name for the record?
Would you state and spell your full name for the record?
State and spell your full name, please.
Spell your last name for the record.
Could you spell your last name for the record?
Have you ever been known by any other names?
What was your maiden name?
What is your current address?
Where are you currently residing? Please give us your current address.
What was your prior address?
Have you taken any medication within the past 24 hours?
Within the last 24 hours, have you had any alcoholic beverages or medications of any kind that you think might affect your ability to answer to questions today?
In the last 24 hours, have you taken any medication?
Have you consumed any alcohol in the last 24 hours?
Could you give us the name of the medications which you have taken in the last 24 hours?
One of the normal problems of conversation that we have to refrain from in depositions is the use of expressions like uh-huh and huh-uh because they can be misconstrued.
If you say uh-huh or huh-uh, she is not allowed to interpret that as a yes or no.
When the deposition is complete, the court reporter is going to put this into a booklet form.
The deposition is going to be reduced to a booklet form so that you can review it to make sure that what you said was what you really meant to say.
When the deposition is complete, the court reporter is going to put this into a booklet form. You're going to have an opportunity to review that booklet.
The deposition is going to be reduced to a booklet form so that you can review it to make sure that what you say is accurately written down and that what you said was what you really meant to say.
When we're finished here today, she's going to be taking your deposition testimony and placing it in a written form in a transcript that will probably be about the size of a healthy magazine.
When we're finished here, you will be able to review the questions and your answers. The deposition will be transcribed and put into a booklet form.
You'll be able to review a copy of the transcript that the reporter is making if you decide that you want to do that. The transcript will read like a movie script with question and answer all laid out in written form, and it will be about the size of a Time magazine.
When we're all done here today, the court reporter will prepare a transcript of everything that's said in here.
We don't want you to guess at the answers to any questions. However, we do have a right to your best estimates as to certain things such as speeds, distances, the passage of time.
If you have an estimate or a number that you can come to regarding either distances or time, then we're entitled to your best estimate, but we don't want you to guess at anything.
We don't want you to guess as to any events that I'm going to be asking you about. I'm going to be asking you about times, places, distances, things of that nature. I'm entitled to your best estimate here today, but neither I nor your attorney want you to guess as to any matters.
I don't want you to guess at any of my questions. However, I am entitled to your best estimate. If I ask you a question and you have some information on which you can give me an answer, I am entitled to that information.
Don't guess at any answers. If you don't know the answer to a question, it's okay to tell me you don't know. If you, however, have an estimate, I would like you to give me the estimate, but I want you to, again, be careful not to make a guess at any answer, okay?
But you have to understand that anything that you do change may be used by myself or another attorney to impeach you either at the time of arbitration or trial. And so that's why it is important that you give your best testimony as you sit here today. However, we do have a right to your best estimates as to certain things such as speeds, distances, and passage of time.
You have to understand that anything that you do change may be used by myself or another attorney to impeach you either at the time of arbitration or trial.
You can make any changes that you think are necessary in order to make the transcript reflect what you intended to say here today. Meaning, you can change the spelling of somebody's name, or you can change your answer from, say, yes to no on a major important question, if you think that's necessary to make your record accurate. Now, I don't have any problem with your making those changes, but if you do make changes like that, the fact that you did so could be commented on later by myself or someone else at an arbitration or trial. And it could reflect on your credibility or possibly embarrass you by making it sound as though you didn't really remember or didn't really know what you wanted to say at the time, things like that, which might affect your credibility.
You can make changes or corrections, but let me caution you that if you change your answers to a question that is significant, for example, you change a yes to a no, then I can comment on that change. That change might affect your credibility at the time of an arbitration or trial in this matter.
The fewer changes that you make in the transcript, the less possibility of embarrassment at a later time, because I myself or another attorney will have the opportunity to question you as to why you made that particular change.
You have a right to make any changes you deem appropriate, but if you make a major change, then any of the attorneys can comment on it to suggest that you weren't being truthful.
If you find that there's mistakes or any inaccuracy in your testimony, you're entitled to make changes in the booklet. If there's a substantial change or any change at all for that matter, any attorney in this case could comment upon the change and it could reflect adversely on your believability and also on the case.
You have a chance to review the transcript to make any changes in the transcript that you think are necessary. I need to caution you that any changes that you do make could affect your credibility as a witness later on in the case. Understood?
I want to caution you that any changes that you do make may be commented upon at some later time. Now, that may have an effect on your credibility as a witness and as a party to this action.
Are you required to wear glasses when you drive?
When was the last time you had an eye examination?
Do you have a valid California driver's license?
Has your California driver's license at any time ever been suspended or revoked?
At the time you were involved in the accident, did you have a California driver's license?
At any time, did you receive any notice from the Department of Motor Vehicles or any authority of the state of California that your driver's license was threatened with being suspended or revoked?
As a result of this accident, did you receive any citations or tickets or notices of traffic violations?
Where did this accident take place?
What kind of car were you driving?
What type of vehicle were you driving at that time? Where were you coming from?
Were you employed at the time of the accident?
Where were you employed at the time of the accident?
At the time of the accident, were you employed?
Were you wearing a seatbelt?
Were you wearing a shoulder harness?
Were you wearing a lap-type seatbelt?
What were the weather conditions at the time of the accident?
Were there any photographs taken of your car? Are you aware of any photographs which have been taken to the damage to your car?
Have you seen any photographs of the damage to your car?
Did your car have any pre-existing damage on it before the accident occurred?
Prior to this accident that we're talking about in this case, did you injure any portion of your body that you're claiming was also injured in this accident?
Can you describe the damage that occurred to your car as a result of this accident?
What type of damage was caused to your vehicle?
Did any part of your body strike any part of the interior of the car?
Did you receive any cuts or bruises in this accident?
Did you receive any visible bruises or cuts from this accident?
Following this accident, did you talk to the driver of the other car?
Had you been injured in any other automobile accidents?
Did you ever seek any treatment for your injuries in this accident?
Where did you first go for any treatment, or what doctor or what facility?
As far as you can remember, what was done for you or to you on your first visit? What happened?
Are you still treating for the injuries from this accident?
When did you last receive treatment for the injuries received in this accident?
During the course of your treatment, how many visits did you make to that office for treatment?
What was your destination at the time of the accident?
At the time of the accident, what was your destination?
Can you describe that intersection at the time of the accident as far as the number of lanes?
Did the street have left turn lanes or turnouts at the intersection?
Were there any warning cones or devices, construction, Jersey barriers, anything of that nature in the street within 100 yards of the intersection at the time of the incident?
At the time of the accident, were there any lights at the intersection as far as overhanging street lights to illuminate the intersection at the time of the accident?
Are there any directional signals or lights at that intersection?
Before the accident occurred, do you recall seeing any vehicles cross in front of your path?
What was the speed limit at or near the intersection at the time of the accident?
Just before you applied your brakes before the accident, can you give me your best estimate as to your approximate speed?
Did you have your headlights on at the time of the accident?
Did you notice at any point in time before or after the accident that the car that you were involved with in the collision also had their headlights on?
Were your turn indicators on at the time of the accident?
Are you aware of any witnesses to the accident?
Were there witnesses to this accident?
Was a police report filed?
To your knowledge, was any police report made for this incident?
Are you aware of any report being made to any authority because of this incident?
10 minutes. All right, this is past CSR from May of '01. I'll be plaintiff attorney Mr. Farley, F-A-R-L-E-Y.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
I am defense attorney Mr. Moore, M-O-O-R-E.
Begins with the plaintiff. We're at 200. Did you notice the defendant do anything as he left the car?
He locked at the door and walked away from the car.
What direction did he walk?
He walked directly southbound, I believe.
If you could, Your Honor, may we see defense exhibits A, B, and C?
Do you want him to look at all three of them?
All three of them, please. Now, looking at Exhibit C, can you point to the place that the vehicle was parked?
The vehicle was parked there is a fire hydrant there, and the vehicle was parked right next to a fire hydrant.
Okay, so where, with respect to the fire hydrant, would you say that you were parked?
Well, you can't see my position very well in that picture.
As best you can, please indicate where on that picture your position was.
As close as I can, it was at the edge of the right side of the picture.
There is a driveway at the right side of the picture that goes into the motel. Were you south of that driveway?
Correct.
And was that in the middle of the intersection?
Yes.
The defendant didn't walk past you?
That's correct.
Were you the driver of the police car that night?
No, I was the passenger.
Okay, so you would be the one who would be making most of the observations.
Objection. It is calling for speculation.
Were you making most of the observations?
I know that I made observations. I don't know.
He can't talk for someone else.
Who saw the defendant leave the car?
I saw him leave the car.
And as you saw him leave the car, did you know that he was blocking the fire hydrant?
I didn't see the hydrant at that time.
Okay, but you had followed him?
That is correct.
You saw him lock the car, am I correct?
Yes.
Then what happened?
He walked toward the entrance to the motel.
At that point, were you in the process of making an investigation of the automobile? At the point that he left the car, were you making an investigation of the automobile?
I don't know what you mean.
Were you making a call to check on the car?
I was running a check, yes.
And did you exit your vehicle at that time?
No.
Where did the defendant go after he walked around the corner?
If he knows, Your Honor.
If you know, where did he go?
After he walked away from the car, he entered the hotel located at the southeast corner.
At any time, did you try to draw the attention of the defendant?
No, I did not try to.
Okay, so at this time, other than the fact that the defendant probably saw your vehicle, he did not know that you were watching him.
Objection, that is pure conjecture.
It is sustained.
You didn't put on the red light, am I correct?
No, I didn't.
You didn't utilize your bullhorn?
No.
You didn't request him to halt?
No, I did not.
So when was the first time that you contacted the defendant?
This would have been after we entered the hotel inside room 3, I believe it was.
And how long did it take to get a return on the check on the car?
It was the better part of a minute. It was approximately 30 to 40 seconds.
And after the return of that check, what did you proceed to do?
After observing that the car was reported stolen, I left my vehicle and followed him to the hotel.
Okay, did you see precisely where he was in the motel?
Yes.
Did you talk to anyone?
I notified my partner what I had found out about the car.
So you didn't stop to ask anyone if they saw someone?
No, I didn't.
At the time the report came back with a stolen auto, what did you proceed to do then?
I'm sorry, will you repeat the question?
At the time that the computer returned, what did you proceed to do?
I exited my police car and followed him into the hotel room.
Did you call for backup?
No, I did not. I don't recall asking for any backup.
Did you fill out a police report about what happened on December the 14th?
Yes, I did.
And so you made the report yourself, this police report.
I wrote the arrest report.
Okay, thank you. Do you remember what clothing was worn by the defendant?
I believe I do.
Can you state that, please?
I believe he was wearing a beige jacket and dark pants. They were possibly black pants. He had on black shoes.
That is all I have.
Mr. Moore?
Is your car equipped with a radio, excuse me, strike that. Is your car equipped with a computer?
The police car has a mobile terminal. It is not a computer.
Now, that would be a monitor, wouldn't it?
Objection, Your Honor. He is putting words in the witness's mouth.
Sustained.
Do you remember the vehicle you were driving on that night?
Nothing other than it was a marked police car.
Okay, so have you had occasion to review your report today?
Yes, I have.
There was a witness at the scene of the arrest, a witness named Larson, is that correct?
Correct.
What did he say?
I believe he told me that. No, I don't recall him saying anything about the people inside the motel.
When you went to the room in the motel, did you knock?
Correct.
You didn't try to break in?
No.
Did you knock with your hands?
That's correct.
Your Honor, he is leading the witness.
This is cross-examination. I am entitled to lead the witness.
The objection is overruled. However, you are treading close to the line, Mr. Moore.
You did not put your shoulder to the door.
No, I don't recall doing that.
At what point did you contact the manager of the motel?
After the occupants of the room were placed under arrest.
And you say you observed the defendant go into the room. You left your vehicle, right?
Yes.
Did you go to the room alone?
I believe my partner was right behind me.
Where was your car at the time?
The police car was parked outside of the motel.
So you didn't pull the vehicle into the motel?
No.
Was there ever a vehicle pulled into the motel?
A police vehicle?
Yes.
Yes.
But this was after the arrest?
Yes, it was.
At what point did you begin the computer check?
As I was following the car.
Okay, and you testified that it took about a minute for the computer to return the check?
Approximately a minute.
Okay, you testified that the defendant sat in the car about a minute?
Approximately a minute.
Okay, so then reasonably close to the time that the defendant left the vehicle, the computer came back?
Exactly.
Do you know who followed up the arrest from the detective division?
No, I don't.
Okay. Did you know that there was no way out of the motel room?
No, I didn't know.
Okay. If in fact, at the time that the defendant was leaving the vehicle on which you were checking the plate, couldn't you have detained him at that moment until the check was complete?
I suppose I could have detained him for the vehicle code violations.
What did you say when you knocked on the door?
I don't recall exactly. It would have been something like, "Police, open the door."
For the record, it needs to be as close as you can. You are sure that is what you said?
No, I am not. I just said I don't recall my exact words. Usually when I knock on the door in that situation, I say, "Police officers, open the door."
Okay. Did you hear an officer make the statement, "We have one here that wants to play hardball"?
No.
And you did say that the defendant asked for an attorney immediately upon his arrest?
I didn't say that, no.
Did he?
No, not that I recall.
When you observed the car, you had it within your power to detain the suspect as far as the traffic violation was concerned, is that correct?
Yes.
And instead you waited for the check to come back, is that right?
Yes, I waited for the return of the computer check of the car.
And that took about a minute?
Yes.
And most of this time the defendant was still in the car, is that right?
Yes.
And he went into room 3?
Yes.
As soon as he got into room 3, the computer report came back that the car was stolen.
Your Honor, he is misstating the testimony.
Rephrase the question.
When did the computer report come back?
Actually, it was while he was walking into the motel room that it came back, and we followed him from that point.
How close was he to the door when the check came back stolen?
He was just a few feet from the entrance of the motel itself.
Did you have an opportunity to say anything to him before he got inside the door?
No?
When you proceeded to the location, you knocked on the door, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you use a key in the door?
No.
Did you attempt to talk to the manager to get a key?
No.
Do you see a gentleman seated in the courtroom, about the third row back, the only man in the row?
Yes, I see him.
Have you ever seen him before?
I don't recall seeing him before.
Do you recall the manager on that night?
Yes, I recall speaking with one person.
Can you describe him for me?
Your Honor, there will be an objection here because it is going beyond the scope of the direct.
The objection is overruled.
Do you remember the color hair he had?
He had black hair.
It wasn't gray?
No.
All right. When you were knocking on the door, did you consider yourself in hot pursuit?
Yes, I did.
You knocked on the door. Was there an answer?
Yes, I believe a male from inside the room answered.
And then that is when you saw the defendant?
Yes.
Was he resisting your arrest?
No, he didn't resist arrest.
At that time, did you secure the premises?
Yes.
Did you notice any other exits or entrances to the apartment unit?
There were 2 windows inside the room and 1 window in the bathroom that could have been used as an exit.
No other doors other than that?
No other doors.
All right, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect, Your Honor.
Very well.
In drawing your attention to the photographs you have already seen, did you notice the burglar bars on the outside?
Objection, outside the scope of my cross.
Come on, let's get moving. The objection is overruled for the sake of completing this hearing.
In the pictures, you mean?
Yes.
I can't observe room 3 from those pictures.
Can you see the far corner of the building?
Yes.
At the far corner of the building, would that be room number 3?
I don't believe it is. I believe you are talking about the southwest corner of the building, aren't you?
Yes.
That is on the extreme right portion of the picture as I look at it.
Right.
I can't be sure that is room 3. It is on that portion of the building, but I believe to my recollection, it is not the end room. It may be next to the end room.
Okay, you just said that the manager of the motel that you talked to is not in the courtroom at this time.
The person that I recall is not.
Is he in the courtroom or isn't he?
No.
You stated you didn't talk to anyone before you came into the room.
No.
Underneath that heading bar while unjamming the machine.
I don't do it myself.
Well, I'm done questioning Mr.